आपने जो क्रिएटिव में डाला हुआ था ना मीटिंग आईडी, उससे ये वाला ज्वाइन हुआ है अभी।
ओके ओके, चलो ठीक है, ओके।
लिंक पे था वो नहीं, आई थिंक दिस इज द करेक्ट वन। वो लाइव आई थिंक हैज अगेन गॉन, यू माइट हैव टू आस्क समबडी टू स्टार्ट द लाइव।
Good evening, friends. Today we have always, though we have always been discussing in respect of adoption, but there's always a gray area, and we are always in doubt that what is the practice and procedure. Therefore, we had requested Justice Roshan Dalvi, a former judge of Bombay High Court, to suggest someone who can actually make us understand the nitty-gritties in this regard. And there we are, हमारे बीच मिस्टर सुनील अरोड़ा हैं, जो इन चीजों के बारे में लोगों को हेल्प करते हैं। इनकी एक बाल आशा ट्रस्ट भी है। तो हम शुक्रगुजार हैं जस्टिस रोशन दालवी के, जिन्होंने इनसे इंट्रोड्यूस कराया, और मिस्टर सुनील अरोड़ा के भी, जिन्होंने सहमति प्रकट करी कि ये हमें समझाएंगे और ये पीपीटी के द्वारा और स्पष्ट और सटीक तरीके से समझाएंगे। जस्टिस रोशन दालवी भी हमारे बीच हैं। आई विल रिक्वेस्ट जस्टिस रोशन दालवी to share few insights, and then we will also ask her by the end to give her concluding remarks. And we are thankful again to Justice Roshan Dalvi and Mr. Sunil Arora for this particular session. Over to you, Justice Roshan Dalvi.
Good evening, friends. Adoption is one of the great perspectives on gender. I will give you first the history of adoptions in India in short. Under the uncodified Hindu law, there was no adoption that could be made by a female Hindu. Adoptions were made only by males. But when the male died without a legal heir who is a son, that is another male heir, then the widow was compulsorily required to adopt, not for her own sake, not in her own name, but for the sake of the funeral of her husband and in the name of the husband. This was the law. Then came the Hindu Code in 1956 and came the HAMA, Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act, which gave certain women only right to adopt. They were spinsters, widows, and divorcees. A married woman could not adopt. Later on, a married woman could adopt only with the consent of her husband. The husband did not require to get consent from the wife. In 2011, HAMA was again amended, and it became an gender equal legislation. So then all women got the right to adopt. The spinsters, widows, and divorcees adopted in their own names. The married Hindu woman could adopt with the consent of her husband, and the husband could adopt with the consent of the wife. So it became a gender equal law, which prevails until today. The Muslims could not adopt because there is no specific provision, though I find no bar in any of the Muslim scriptures or Shariat Act or anything, but they say you cannot adopt. Therefore, the Muslims could become guardians of their children only. But there were certain cases which came up before me when a Muslim wanted to adopt and not be only the guardian. So I allowed that adoption. Similarly, Christians could not adopt because there was no specific law, though there was no bar. But Christians are amenable to various other amendments and changes. Justice Rebello passed a judgment, and under that judgment, Christians came to adopt everyone. Parsis also could not adopt because there was no specific legislation, though no bar. There used to be what is called a Palak son, and that would be actually a son who is fostered by those parents but not adopted. And so many Parsis wanted to adopt. Then came Section 41 of the Juvenile Justice Act, which gave everyone the right to adopt. It is one of the best aspects of the Uniform Civil Code, which is voluntary. You can accept it if you want, and you need not adopt if you don't want. So this is the law. Now, the practice, of course, Mr. Sunil Arora will tell you best because he works as a foot soldier at ground level. When these matters are done by these kind of people like Mr. Arora, they go through those organizations and come to court. The court has to only see and supervise how that adoption is going on. The only role of the court will be to see that the child is not trafficked. Otherwise, a male child could be trafficked into labor, a female child could be trafficked into commercial sexual exploitation, or both children could be trafficked into domestic work. That has to be prevented. I had done that in some of the matters. What happened in my court, I will tell you last. Let us hear Mr. Arora because his is the actual webinar and he would be telling us how the adoptions are going on today under the new law.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Vikasji, please go ahead. Thank you very much, Dalvi ma'am. I think it's really an honor for me to get the sort of opening remarks for the session from you. You have been one of the paramount judges who made adoption not just a matter of technical and legal side, but also very personal. I still very fondly remember, and wherever I go, I talk about it, that whenever it was to do with adoption, you would always say, "Ki, what is the information of our child?" You know, you never treated, children coming from institutions as a beneficiary, but as part of the larger community which all want to work towards. So really, thank you. It's really an honor. Having said that, you have also removed one very big burden for me that I cannot explain the legal side. I think you are the best person who can explain the legal side, but I can only talk about the process and what is happening today. So friends, I will really focus on the current procedures of what is happening. I'll focus my session on very few important points. Where are these children coming from? Because बहुत समझा जाता है कि कोई भी बच्चा जो संस्था में है वो अडॉप्शन में जा सकता है. So it's a very common question. There are thousands and lakhs of children in orphanages across India. All reports are talking about many children in India who are in orphanages. So why not these kids can go in adoption? So thoda sa we will touch on that front, ki where these children are coming from, who can be legally placed in adoption. Okay, we will talk about that. We will talk about little bit about the eligibility criteria of parents who can adopt. Okay, we'll try to touch that. We will then just kind of go through the detailed process, ki what is the step-by-step process, because many people feel ki you walk in an orphanage and you will get a child, right? Or you walk in an adoption agency, you will get a child. No. So we'll try to kind of threshold that a little bit. We will do a very little focus on home study, because contrary to the belief that if there is a child who wants a family and then there's a family who wants a child, what else you need? No, the fact remains that the family who's adopting the child also needs to have enough love, enough affection, and should have the ability to bond with the child. I think that is where the home study lies. We will talk a little bit about that. We will also talk about a little bit about how do you know if this family is prepared for adoption or not. I'm sure Justice Dalvi will take us to some of the previous cases which we together had in the court to understand whether this family was very well prepared or not. But today, we also see that many kids who are placed in adoption, unfortunately, are returned by adoptive parents. Why does that happen? That if anybody wants to really adopt a child and they have enough love to give the child, then why does this happen? So we will touch a little bit about how do you know if this family is prepared or not. Remember, it is never the child's fault. It is the fault of the parent where they are unable to bring up a child who's adopted. So we'll touch a little bit about that. We'll of course talk about one or two very inspirational stories during the way. And I'm sure if time allows and if Vikasji allows, to whom I'm very thankful to give me the opportunity, and Dalvi ma'am to introduce me to this group. So we could take this session. So if there is any time left, we will try to see if Vikas ji can allow some questions. We will talk about that. So let's talk about the first part. Which are the two categories of children who can be placed in adoption? Contrary to the belief that any child can be placed in an orphan or who's an orphan child or a child, with the parents are there, but they don't really look after the child, we can place that child. No, not at all. Primarily, there are only two main categories of children who can be placed in adoption by these specialized adoption agencies. Number one is surrender child. Surrender child, meaning any child who's brought by the biological parent. It could be a single parent, who could be an unwed mother, who could be a mother who is widowed but cannot take care of the child, who could be a couple's child, not necessarily single mother. It can be a child of a couple who is unable to take care of the child because the child has got some medical problem, the parent themselves have a medical problem, or they are going through some serious difficulties in life, right? They can come to child welfare committee. There are child welfare committees, quasi judicial bodies, which most of you will be aware of under the Juvenile Justice Act. They can come before the quasi judicial body, which is the child welfare committee, and say, I'm sorry, I cannot take care of my child. I would like to surrender the child, right? Once they surrender the child, they get 60 days to reconsider that decision, right? And once they reconsider the decision, let's say they reconsider that decision within 10 to 15 days of actually giving up their child to the child welfare committee, they can come back, no problem. The child can be given back to them. It is only after the expiry of 60 days when they don't come back, that is the time the child is made legally free for adoption by the child welfare committee. Please remember, friends, no child, and I mean no child, who is not declared by the child welfare committee as available for adoption, legally free for adoption, can be placed. So it's mandatory, 100% mandatory. Any child which is placed in adoption, any application, petition which goes before any court for adoption needs to have this certificate. So point I am trying to make is any child who can be surrender child can be placed in adoption, no problem. 60 days it takes for the family for reconsidering. If they don't come back in 60 days, this child can be legally made free for adoption and the process of adoption can start. The second immediate category is, let's say, a child who's found somewhere. I mean, we always see stories on social media, in newspaper, that there is an unfortunate situation of a child being left in some railway station or a dustbin or any some unfortunate situation. Any such child can also be placed in adoption, but provided the process of finding the biological parent of this child is completed by the authorities. Who are the authorities? We can say police is an authority. We can say child welfare committee is the authority. We can say DCPU, District Child Protection Unit, is an authority. The minute all these authorities have exhausted, because we cannot presume that a child who's left somewhere is willfully left by somebody. It could be a kidnapped child, right? And the kidnappers got afraid. We hear about these stories all the time. The kidnappers might be afraid and they left the child on a railway station. But the parents, the unfortunate parents who have lost this child from where this child was kidnapped, must be searching. Point I'm trying to make is, abandonment, yes, but at the same time, the process of finding the biological parent is completely exhausted. And once that is not achieved, the parents are not found, then the child welfare committee can declare the child legally free for adoption, and that child can also be placed. As a matter of interest, I would also like to say, on a year-to-year basis, Balasha, we are able to find the parents. Mumbai is a very big city and many children come back running away from different parts of India. They come to Mumbai and they are able to tell us the name of the city, their parents, sometimes phone number. If not, then we are the only ones who started even using Aadhaar biometrics to trace back the biological parents of this child who's found in Mumbai by the Mumbai police, as an example. Point I'm trying to make is, abandonment doesn't automatically qualify this child for adoption. This child can very well go back to his biological families or guardians. And if not, if nobody is found, even after publishing this child's photographs in newspapers and Doordarshan and national television and all that, if nobody is found, That is the only time this child can qualify for getting adopted. There is one more category which is very loosely mentioned, that an orphan child can be placed in adoption. No doubt, an orphan child can be placed in adoption, but that child also needs to go through a legal process of finding any guardians of this child. I mean, our country is full. If the parents are no more, they have died in an unfortunate incident, then there are chachas, mamas, aunties, uncles who are very happy to take care of the child. वो बच्चे को संभाल लेते हैं, वो बच्चे को अडॉप्शन में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो सिर्फ ऑर्फन क्वालिफाई नहीं करता है, वो बच्चे का कोई भी क्लेममेंट नहीं है. ये जैसे मैंने कहा, अबैंडन की पूरी प्रोसीजर होती है, वो कंप्लीट होने के बाद ही that child can be put up in adoption. Ma'am has already mentioned a little bit, so I won't deep dive into it. Currently, there are only one important law. The other is a regulation, which is released under the JJ Act. Currently, we completely follow the Juvenile Justice Act. All adoptions which are done from specialized adoption agencies, child care institutions in India are done under the JJ Act. As a matter of interest, does it mean that HAMA does not exist and has lost its powers? No, the answer is absolutely no. HAMA still is in existence. Okay, HAMA still can be approached. Let's say if there's a family-based adoption, right? If there are two brothers, okay, and they both are related, and now they want to adopt, or one of them wants to adopt the other brother's child, they can of course do that, and they can approach that case under HAMA. So HAMA is absolutely still actionable very much, but most or all of the kids who are found or are with the child care institutions in India, they have to be processed under the Juvenile Justice Act. The second, which is an applicable regulation, is the Adoption Regulation 22. The Adoption Regulation 22 are basically released under they get their power from the JJ Act. Okay, so they initially, there used to be only called as, they used to be called as sort of guidelines, So there have been, I remember that there used to be adoption guidelines 214 and I think 2000 and so on and so forth. But now these are regulations which are released under the Juvenile Justice Act. So they get the power from the Act itself, and hence they are sort of an enabling regulation. So these are the only things we need to remember. Let's look at the eligibility criteria. Okay, who can adopt? Any married couple can adopt, provided they have completed minimum 2 years of marriage. Male, female, single people can also adopt. Having said that, male cannot adopt a girl child, but a single female can adopt any. They can adopt a male child, they can adopt a female child, no problem. Just repeating myself to be clear, males cannot adopt. Single males can adopt, but they cannot adopt a girl child. Rest, couples and female single people can also adopt. They can adopt any gender, no problem, right? As I said, or it's already mentioned in my screen, single, widowed, divorced. So they were married at one point of time, but now they are divorced. Very important, guys, legally divorced. A lot of times people approach us and say, I'm actually divorced, but there is no divorce degree. So till there is a divorce degree, you are not officially, divorced. So they cannot approach as a single parent adoption, right? But when the Honorable Court is giving the orders, they can definitely approach as a single parent, right? I've already mentioned single males cannot adopt female child, and prospective adoptive parents, very important. And that's what I think Dalvi ma'am was really focusing on. Any parent who's adopting a child needs to be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially stable. They cannot have any life-threatening medical conditions, and obviously they cannot be convicted in any criminal act or any sort of child abuse violation. So repeating, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, they have to be stable, and they have to be clean in the eyes of law, to say the least. Consent of both spouses are very important. A lot of times we get couples, in our practical practice that, the couple is sitting in front of you, but when you're talking to both of them, you realize that the wife is not so enthusiastic. or the husband is not so enthusiastic. They just are saying yes, 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 but they both are not really giving. And consent is not paper consent. Consent is whether both of them are very much keen to take this as a joint project in their life. So consent, when we say, it's not just a written document, but something which they both are absolutely keen to do. That is very important. If they are now ready, they have to register under Mission Vatsalya. So there is a central adoption resource authority which manages the entire adoption scenario in the country. It is an authority under the department, or the ministry rather, of the Women and Child Development Government of India. Under that is the KARA, and short form we'll use the word KARA. And now they are merged with Mission Vatsalya as a website. So any couple who's interested, any single parent who's interested, needs to go and register on Mission Vatsalya, upload some basic documents, PAN card, Aadhaar card, income, and let's say their medical papers and all that, and they can register. Once they have registered, they will be asked to choose a specialized adoption agency closest to their home. This is so that adoption agency, people like us, can come to their home, do their counseling, get their documentation in order, and basically do the vetting process, compliance process, that yes, this couple or single parent is amazing, they are well prepared, they have all the documentation in place, their house is okay, it is not dangerous for the child, and they understand their responsibilities as a prospective adoptive parent. So that is the broader role of an adoption agency. They have to choose the closest adoption agency. Example, if somebody is living in Delhi, they cannot choose somebody in Ghaziabad, because Delhi itself, or their Mumbai, like, is a big city again. If they are registered, if they are staying somewhere in sort of south of Mumbai, they cannot choose an organization which is absolutely in Navi Mumbai. They have to register to the closest organization who will do this vetting process for them. Let's also understand what are the age group of children which people can adopt now. So I have registered, I want to register, I have understood how to register. Now, which is the age group will I qualify? Am I 50? I am 50, my wife is 45, I am 95. Do I qualify for a young baby? Can I adopt a 1 year baby? The answer is in the guidelines itself, or the regulation itself. The regulation is very clear. Anybody who wants to adopt a child up to 2 years, their composite age as a couple, composite means the example which I gave you. I am 50, my wife is 45. That means my composite age is 95. So I don't fall under the 85 years category. Can I adopt a 2 to 4? I cannot, because that is 90. I am actually qualified for a child between 4 to 8 years, because the composite age which is recommended under the regulation is 100. So I guess I am clear about that anybody who's wishing to adopt a child of a particular age needs to vet the couple's age against this. Example, if somebody is 40, the wife is 42, or reverse. If the wife is 42, husband is 40, they are 82, they definitely fall under the 85 category. They can adopt a 2-year-old child. Why it is done is also very important. Friends, as much as my experience, my 3-decade experience mentions or kind of guides us in this, the older the couple is, okay, and if they adopt a younger child, it's a very big mismatch in the years to come. Because as the child's age grows, their energies are growing. They're like, look at 26, how the energies post-COVID of children are growing, and our energies as we grow older are going down, right? So this has to be matched properly. To be very frank, I tell couples to basically assess their age criteria in simple way. By the time the oldest one in the relationship will be 60, this child should be at least 18. Because if this child is not even 18, then imagine I am 65, my child is barely not even done graduation. By barely, when I am 70, my child will be, finishing the studies. So basically assess it. There is, of course, the regulations are very much guiding us, but at the same time, one should assess with their own lives and understand, and not say, not feel, keep the, a lot of times people say, when I guide them on this, they say, नहीं, छोटे बच्चे से वो थोड़ा जल्दी हमसे अटैच हो जाएगा, हम उससे जल्दी अटैच हो जाएंगे. करेक्ट, हो सकता है कि जितना बच्चा छोटा होगा आप जल्दी अटैच हो जाएंगे, लेकिन जितना बड़ा बच्चा होगा और आपका एज जितना बड़ा होगा, बच्चा उतना ही आपसे डिटैच हो जाएगा. So the issue is not of child care. The issue is of bringing up a young, good adult as a citizen of our country. And we need to have our energies in place for that. So please use this as a guideline. I'd like to move ahead. So what is the exact process? I mentioned about Mission Vatsalya. Anybody who wants to register can register in Mission Vatsalya. Uploading of the documentation on that website. The most important is the home study process. A home study, like I mentioned, is a very detailed process. It's an 8 to 9 page document, which, to be very frank, honorable courts and district magistrate go very deeply into to understand what is this family, what are their jobs, how much are they earning, who are the family members who are living in the house, who are the relatives who are supporting their plan, who are the people, God forbid, if anything happens to this couple, who's going to take care of the child, after unfortunate situation. Is this family prepared or not? What is the motivation? So on and so forth. If I may say so, it is like a detailed study. It's not just, a lot of times people say, oh, home study would mean that you can come to my house, see my 2 BHK or 1 BHK. No, 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 no. It is not that. It is a study. It is study of who this family is, what are they doing, who are the people who are supporting their plan, so on. An example, I remember, because ma'am is there, I'm going to use the benefit of the conversation on that. She would always want to know, once we place the child with the family, how are they manage the child care? Both of them are working. What is the plan? How will the husband take some leave? Will the wife take some leave? So immediately imagine giving a 6-month-old baby and next day they are saying both of us will go to job and some caretaker is going to take care of the child. No, you have to be careful about such signs that adoption bring responsibilities as well. So is the family ready to take some responsibility also? So home study is a very detailed conversation. There is a lot of counseling. I'm going to touch a little bit about counseling maybe at the end of the slides. And finally is the home visit. Okay. This entire process at Balasha takes to about 30 to 35 hours, over a period of 2 to 3 months. And only then we sort of approve this family. The charge which adoption agencies can take, and this is across India, friends, it is not that only Balasha charges this much and somebody else can charge that much. Not at all. The charge across India is only 6,000 rupees for completing the home study. Now, this is where things become interesting, and I really want your attention. The minute we upload the home study, that is the time the family can see their wait list number. Okay. It is not that you register, you give the documentation, complete the home study, and immediately you will be able to see the child. No, 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 no. You are in the centralized system, and in the centralized system, depending on which example, if somebody is registering from Maharashtra, their zone will be Maharashtra. You will be in waiting list in all the adoption agencies in Maharashtra. You will be getting a wait list number. Okay. Example ले लेते हैं कि let's say the wait list number when you register is 4,000. Okay. So 4,000 से आपका number शुरू होगा. So now you are in a wait list number. What is going to happen is, as people who registered before you, okay, as people who registered before you keep getting child, your number is going to keep on going lower and lower. Example, you started with 4, you will be 3, 2, 1, 500, and so on and so forth. So people will keep on getting children before you and your number will be coming up. So this is the way the system works currently, that you are part of the larger ecosystem in India. Initially, ma'am would remember that the adoption agency's child would normally go to a family who was registered with the adoption agency only. But that era is finished. Now there's a centralized portal. Everybody is part of the centralized pool. The families are part of one pool and the children are part of one pool. A lot of times people say, oh, does it mean that the children also have to wait? So I am on a waiting list number, but is the child also waiting? No. The minute the child is declared free for adoption and the child's CSR and ME are uploaded, the child already goes to a waiting family who was waiting in the system for past few years. Now, few years could mean 2 to 3 years. Point is, children don't wait. Families have to wait. You wait and you see your waiting list number. Whenever, I'm going ahead, whenever your number comes up, you will be shown one child. Okay. You will be shown one child as per the preferences you mentioned while registering. What are the preferences you could have mentioned? You could have said, I want a male child. You could have said, I want a female child. You could have kept it open and say any. Any means whichever child comes first, I'm going to take that child. So these are your preferences you can give. Age, I already told you that the age is depending on your age automatically. So that age is decided. For conversation purpose, let's take the age is 2 to 4 years. So this child could be between 3 years, and you will get a child according to that. You can also basically specify that do you want to adopt a normal child or you want to adopt a special child, right? And based on that, only a child will be proposed to you. So suppose, example, if you did not want to adopt a male child, you only wanted to adopt a female child, the system will not show you any male child. A lot of times families make that mistake. They register for a female child, and then when the number is coming up and then the system proposes them a female child, then they realize, oh, no, no, I really wanted to adopt a male child. Sorry, the system, you can't change like this, right? So best is for families who are listening to us to choose what their heart says very cleanly. If they feel that they want to parent a girl child, boy child, whatever, or any child, doesn't matter, they have to register accordingly, and accordingly they will be proposed only one child. Let's say that proposal is made, you will only get 48 hours to make a decision. Okay, bear with me, please be with me. You will only get 48 hours. What are these 48 hours given to? The 48 hours are given so that you can download the medical and legal history, child study report of this child from the portal, from the system. You will download it, you will go through it in detail, you can basically review it, go to a doctor, show the doctor, talk to your adoption agency. You will get 48 hours to make a decision whether you want to go ahead with this child or no. If you don't want to go, a lot of times, those 48 hours are used by people on putting these pictures in family groups and WhatsApp and all that. Please don't do that. Okay, this child is not yours yet. Okay, this child is only proposed by the central government, Tara, so that to ask whether you're interested in it. If you're interested, you get 48 hours to click reserve button in the portal. Okay. Let's say, I'm going to take a little negative example first. Let's say you saw the child and you said, no, I don't want to adopt this child. It is okay. You will go in a 30 to 60 days, 30 to 60 days of just let's call it pause period. Okay. Which means that now the government will not propose you, Kara will not propose you a second child. But once the 60 days are over, okay, 30 to 60 days are over, they will propose you a second child. Okay. Let's say you don't even take that child, right? Then after the same pause period, okay, they will show you, okay, a third child. That is the maximum they will show. So bear with me. First child you didn't take, you 48 hours you got, you don't do anything. They propose you a second child after a month or so. You didn't take that child. They proposed you a third child also, but let's say you didn't take that as well. That will mean that you are currently not interested, and the system will actually take you back on the waiting list of that day. Okay. So as an example, if somebody waited 3 years in the system to get that first referral and they don't accept any of those referrals, they may have to wait for another 3 years to get a child. So why would not somebody accept the first or second child? This goes back to my point of home study and counseling, of preparation. A lot of times people get afraid of, oh, how do I reserve this child, so on and so forth. But the point I'm trying to make is if you do not accept even the third child, you will be relegated back to the bottom of the list. Okay. But let's go to the positive side now. Let's take you like the first child which you saw. In 48 hours, you said, yes, this is a child I want to adopt. Okay, let's just enlarge the topic and say, can you call up that agency and ask, some details? Yes, you can call up the agency and ask for some details and all that. But it is not mandatory that the organization will provide you any additional photographs over the WhatsApp. Can you send me some WhatsApp pictures and etc. etc. But the system itself would have original. What I mean by original is the latest pictures of the child. okay, latest medicals of the child. So you will get very latest information of the child, which you can go ahead, review with your doctor and reserve the child. Let's take a positive that you have reserved the child. Okay. So the first child which was shown to you, you reserved the child. You will get 30 days now. Okay. Now, what are those 30 days for? The 30 days are for the family and adoption agency to conduct a adoption committee meeting. Initially, there was no adoption committee in any of the adoption agencies. Okay. Now there is a adoption committees in every adoption agency where the chairperson is the DCPU. Okay. There is the social workers, people like me who are the director of the organization. There are doctors, there are psychologists. So there is a adoption committee which manages the reserving of the child, right? So to take an example, you get 30 days. Within those 30 days, the adoption committee will meet. You will have to present all your papers, and on presenting the papers, the adoption committee will talk to you and will decide, okay, whether this child is suitable with your family or not. I'll take an example. Like, let's say if it's an 8-year-old child, okay, and the temperament of this child and the child who the family's temperament don't match, or let's say the documentation is not clear, then the adoption committee may take a negative view of this case. But let's say if everything is okay, the adoption committee is also very positive. They say, yes, this child, this family is very well prepared for adoption. They will say yes. And once they say yes, you can meet the child in that or adoption organization. Then you can do a medical review. Okay. Medical review means what? Can I get all the tests done of the child? I want to repeat HIV. I want to do hepatitis. I want to do all the tests. No, medical review only means you can bring a choice of your doctor to that adoption agency, show him the child, show him the entire medical file, and let this doctor independently guide you. But if the doctor feels that yes, there is one important test which looks to be missing, but it is very important. Okay, not an MRI. If the child is healthy, the child is talking or is absolutely normal in everything. Why would you do an MRI, right? So not those kind of things which are not like not something which is out of the box. Like yes, if I test the child, I feel there is this, I think the sonography is important because I can feel this child may have something which I want to make sure is, to rule out that, no problem. Then the adoption agency can help you to get those medicals done. So medical review करवा सकते हो. Medical review हो गया, बच्चा पसंद आ गया, बच्चे को देख लिया, बच्चों के साथ time spend कर लिया. आप फिर you will have to sign the child study report or medical examination report sign करना है. इसका मतलब क्या है? Now you have fully accepted this child as yours. By signing the child study report and medical examination report, that means you are agreeing that this child is mine. But let's say a lot of people sometimes say, oh, I go there, I do all this, but I don't feel the love for this child. Okay. How would you feel love? You have never met this child before. This child has not even spent an hour with you. How will you feel that love? So don't search for the love inside. You have to give time to develop. Okay. You have to give time. You have to, do basics things. A lot of times we, make it very heavy, but you can do basic things like, feeding the child will bring love. Changing diapers will bring love. Going around with the child will bring love. Doing little things which of joys will bring love. Okay. That is very important. That's when, acha, another thing which we propose to a lot of parents is to, when you go to see the child, you like the child, stay and meet the child for at least 5 to 6 days in the ashram. Don't just bring the child. Okay, I like this child, I'm going to just take it out in 2 hours. You can't do that. You just cannot displace a child who has been living in an adoption agency for a year or two and say, now now you come with him because I'm your father and I'm your mother. No, don't do that. Okay. Take a pause, meet the child, give the child enough time to feel you, see you, understand you. Okay. Take 5, 6 days, stay in that city, visit just for the sake of, they are called adoption agencies, but I can use the word ashram as an operative word. Go and meet the child in the ashram, create a bonding with the child. And once the child is also happy and you can see, now the child needs 200 ml of warm water, then I need to put 1 chamcha of nestem rice because this child doesn't eat anything yet. Get those basics in order and then bring the child. Just don't bring a child and say, now because I am your father and mother, let's go. No, don't do that. Stay for 5, 6 days. It doesn't matter. It's going to help you for life. Let's say you have signed the CSR and MER. the adoption fee is 50,000 rupees. Okay. You are not at all required or should be giving any donation of any sort. You have to just give 50,000 rupees in the bank account of the specialized adoption agency. And once you have done that, you have to file a pre-adoption foster care agreement and you can bring the child home. Let's take an example. If the child is from Mumbai and the family is in Delhi, you can file the pre-adoption foster care with the adoption agency in Mumbai and take the child with you to Delhi. Okay. It is not necessary that you have to stay in the same city till the adoption orders are done. But once you have taken, the adoption organization, the DCPU will work together and file the adoption petition in the district magistrate's office. Okay. Recently, the Honorable Bombay High Court vacated the previous order where all the adoption orders were coming to the Mumbai High Court or Bombay High Court. But now they vacated that and said we have to follow the JJ Act. The JJ Act now requires all adoption orders or all adoption petitions to be filed in front of the district magistrate. Yeah. So we will file a petition in front of the district magistrate. The district magistrate will give the adoption orders. You will get a birth certificate after that. And after the birth certificates and everything, there is follow-up. For follow-up, in the same example, if you are a couple from Delhi, you don't need to come to Mumbai. The same people who did your home study will continue to do the follow-up of this child and will be continuing to report to the authorities that this child is doing very well. Don't consider follow-ups as inspection. They are not inspections, but they are opportunities for the couple and the adoption agency to continue the dialogue so that the child settles very smoothly. I said that I will touch on some preparation for the child, preparation for the family. Before we give a child to any family, we want to understand through the home study, are they motivated? Now, motivation could mean so many different things for so many people, but each of the motivation can mean so much different. Example, I'm a childless couple, I want to adopt. Yes, of course you can. But I am childless, I want to adopt, but I don't feel that I can love a child who's not born to me. It is also a very important criteria to see. Not just because I'm childless, I would love a child who's adopted. No. So we have to see what are the motivation as a couple, or the adoption agency has to see what is the motivation of the couple who's adopting the child. Just because I'm a childless doesn't mean that I will have the same motivation to love the child. Because always remember, friend, kids who are adopted at 2 years, because we have now seen some of the kids grow up as older kids. A lot of times they have challenges. A lot of time they have different thoughts about their adoption. They want to understand what their adoption stories are. So it's not an easy that you adopt a child and then there is happily living after. There's so many challenges which can come across the way, or as the child grows 16 and 18 and 20. So what is the motivation? Is the motivation just adopting because I don't have a child? Is the motivation that yes, I have actually a biological child, no problem, but out of charity, I want to adopt a child? No, no, you cannot adopt a child out of charity, because when this child is 18, okay, is bound to ask you, okay, that whether, why did you adopt me? And if a father says that, I mean, look at it in either way, forget adoption. Just visualize a mother or a father telling that, oh, I really wanted to do charity and that's the reason I adopted. What is the trauma this child is going to, take at heart, and then it becomes disaster. So please, we always check what is the motivation of adopting this child. The second biggest factor is, will they disclose about the child's adoption to the child himself or herself? Now, very interesting. Initial years, many years back, we used to believe, क्यों बताना जरूरी है? Why the child should know? Let the child not know. Otherwise, the child's mind will be, sort of disputed. Ki, Arey, these are not my real parents. And then who are my real parents, so and so forth. So let's not spoil the child's mind. So let's not disclose. No. As years have passed, we have realized it is very important that we disclose the situation or the real story, that how the child came in the family. You have to disclose the fact of adoption. Why then I'm saying that gone are the days where people from Delhi could adopt from Delhi. Gone are the days where people from Mumbai could adopt from Delhi, and so on and so forth. Now, a child from Mumbai can go to Delhi. So the birth certificate will say what? Mumbai. A child who's adopted from Kolkata and is coming to Mumbai, the birth certificate will always say Kolkata, right? So the story will not be hidden always from your surroundings. Your friends would know, your relatives would know. And as the child will grow, even the doctor, suppose if the child requires a medical attention and the doctor is asking you, okay, do you have any health histories in the family? You have to be truthful to the doctor and say, no, we may not have any medical problem, but my child is adopted, because the doctor needs to properly evaluate your child's medical conditions as well. So there are so many facts which are coming out, in these years, that we really believe and we really guide our parents to please disclose the child story of adoption. And of course, it can be done in a very, very, empathy way. In the sense, not just saying one day, ki, now you're adopted. No, there are stories. Slowly, you can introduce the word adoption, and then by the time the child is 4 or 5 years, the child can be obviously informed about adoption, which really helps the child as the children go. So disclosure of adoption is very important. I am almost at the end of my few slides. I talked about an impactful story. This is a very published story, so I'm very happy to share with you. A lot of times people believe that only young kids get adopted. वो छोटा मोटा बच्चा ही अडॉप्ट होता है, 6 महीने के बच्चे ही अडॉप्ट होते हैं, मुझे तो एक गोरा चिट्टा 2 साल का ही बच्चा चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है। There are many kids in adoption agencies and in childcare institutions who are 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, 18 years. They can also be adopted. Any child under the Juvenile Justice Act below the age of 18 years can be adopted, no problem. And as you can see in front, young couple, they were only 47 when they adopted this child. 15-year-old child they adopted. This child is obviously now, over 18, and then she's doing very well in life. So contrary to the belief that only young babies can be adopted or they settle well in life, not necessary. A well-prepared family and a well-prepared adoption organization can also make very successful, adoptions. So there are people who can adopt older children also, or there are beautiful longer stories like, Olivia, who was adopted when she was only 6 months old from Balasha. Now she is doing very well. She is 33, has a life for herself. Okay. And she's very proud. If some of you want to go on the Balasha Trust YouTube channel, you can see the story of Olivia. She has covered her initial story in one of our, short films on Balasha. And you can see a lot of stories on our Instagram and things like that as well. But there are kids who have done very well in life and they're very proud. So this is what I was saying. Telling the child doesn't mean that the child will be very angry and will not love you. Telling a child will only bring mutual respect and mutual trust and mutual love, that my parents did not lie. Now imagine if we lie to the child, and if the child is asking, let's say you have gone to, some party, and at the party there is somebody who's expecting the baby, and the child is asking the mother or father that, mama, was I in your tummy like this, just like this auntie is carrying a baby. Now if you say yes, that means you are hiding the information, but you have to tactfully, handle such situations. The child is well aware. So whatever stories I'm sharing in front of you are fully disclosed stories, and these are amazing stories which have come. Like Olivia, again, she made this beautiful tattoo. You will be surprised, and Dalvi madam will definitely appreciate the longitude and latitude, madam, which you can see in this photograph or the tattoo is actually of Balasha Trust. So she actually got a tattoo done where the longitude, or this is where her life started. And this is not one story. I've only tried to not, show too many stories out here. But these are, there are thousands such stories which have come out of children who have been adopted, right? Of course, I want to touch on special needs adoption also as I go to the end of it. A lot of times we believe that only normal kids can get adopted. No. HIV positive children can get adopted. Children with visual difficulties can get adopted. Children with, Down syndrome can get adopted. There are many special needs which people are very happy to adopt. Yes, it's quite possible there are very few Indian couples who want to adopt, but there are also families. Contrary to the belief that most kids go abroad. Okay. At some point of time when we did not have a long waiting list in India, maybe that was partly true, but no. Today, only hardly 300 adoptions are done internationally. As a country, we do about 4,000 adoptions, more possibly around 300 internationally adoptions we do. And you will be very happy to even know within that 300, we have our own NRIs who are living in Middle East. They will never be citizens of that country. They are adopting children. There are Indians who are now maybe taken citizenship of any other country. So this 300 also covers that. They are not complete foreigners. Only 300 inter-country adoptions were recorded, I think, last year. So a lot of people are adopting even special needs adoption. I'm almost at the end of my presentation. I hope Vikas ji will guide us or if there is any room for any Q&A or if Dalvi madam or Vikas ji wants to take up some the last of the few minutes. Yes, you're most welcome to reach out to us. My email is obviously given on the slide. It is sunil@balashatrust.org. You're most welcome to be in touch. You're most welcome to follow any of our social media channels, whether Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, to keep yourself updated on adoption and how Balasha Trust. I didn't talk much about it, but it's a 4-decade organization and it has done some amazing work for 4 decades. And the 40 is not just an adoption agency, but the care which we provide to our children. I think it is like a model care we provide in India, and we are very proud. And Dalvi madam has seen our work, very closely. So this is from me, and anything which Vikas ji can guide us, I'll be happy to take it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, so there are a few questions, though you have explained. But normally, Justice Dalvi, since she has been on the channel, we can close the PPT.
Now, 1 second. Done.
We normally take up the most frequent questions so that people can actually watch it. Like, we haven't taken much threadbare discussion on the CARA. What is the step-by-step process by adopting child in India through CARA? And what is the purpose of CARA?
Okay. So CARA, like I mentioned, is the autonomous central authority on adoption. If I take you in a broader context of it, every country, okay, is not, sorry, let me just say this very cleanly. There's a Hague Convention on inter-country adoption. Okay. The Hague Convention, most countries which have got adoption laws have signed this Hague Convention. What is this Hague Convention? In short, any child who's adopting from any country goes to any new country, that child is getting citizenship. As simple as that. India is signatory to that Hague Convention. What does that mean? India has a central authority which is called CARA on adoption. India, whenever we adopt or whenever we send our kids in adoption, those children get citizenship of those countries, so on and so forth. So CARA's role is to be the central authority on adoption, manage adoptions in India, come up with laws, procedures, making it very time by time, make it easier for kids who are living in orphanages for many, sometimes years altogether. So CARA's primary job is to make sure the adoption regulations are maintained very clean in India, procedures are maintained. And I think most important work which CARA has done very beautiful in the last couple of years is to bring children who are living in non-adoption homes. India only has 500 adoption homes, which are called specialized adoption agencies. India only has 500 specialized adoption agencies, but there are thousands other homes which have kids. CARA has been able to bring those kids also and bring them the benefit of adoption possibility. So let's say a 16-year-old child who's living in a child care institution has also the benefit of getting adopted under the SAS-CCI linkage, which I don't want to deep dive into, but CARA has been very instrumental in bringing that. What is the procedure? I think I mentioned that. From registration, you can register from any city you want. You have to register on Mission Vatsalya. Once you have registered, you have to approach the adoption agency, give all your documentation, get your home study done. And whenever your home study is uploaded, you will be able to see your waitlist number. And as your waitlist moves in, you will be referred a child online, like we discussed. And if you like that child, if you are thinking that, yes, this is the child I would like to build my life with, you can reserve the child. And after reservation, it takes about 2 months for the DM to pass the orders, and this child can be becoming legally totally, where you become the legal adoptive parent of this child. So in short, which I have already shared, I don't want to deep dive into it, but that is the broader procedure.
But there's some difference where you adopt from the, let's assume, a siblings, child, etc. That then you don't have to get into those registration lists, etc. Then you can bypass that.
No, there is no difference. If you are adopting a child from the Kara, and you are adopting a child where the child is coming from an adoption agency or the childcare institution, there is no difference. You can adopt a single child, you can adopt a twins, you can adopt
Let's
siblings.
assume I'm saying something else. Let's assume you want to adopt the child of a brother or a sister.
Okay, family adoption. Okay.
Family adoption.
Yes, yes. So the
Yes, sir. I also want to know about the family adoption, sir.
okay. So for
Like if
family
clients
adoption.
if clients approach us that we want to adopt our brother and sister's child, so what procedure we can follow, sir, in that? Like it has to be done in courts or it has to be done in DMs from district magistrate, sir?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, family adoptions can be done. Okay. And if let's say very clearly, like you mentioned, if it's a brother is adopting sister's child and so on and so forth, or even if it's first. So basically, you have to have clearly established that the person who's giving the child and the person who's receiving the child are really related. A lot of times, we find that they are not related. हाँ सो यू सी इन इंडिया दूर की मासी भी होती है, दूर की बहन भी होती है ना? वैसा नहीं, इट हैज टू बी वेरी मच क्लियरली एस्टैब्लिश्ड कि ये सब बिल्कुल फर्स्ट सेकंड फैमिली है, वो आप कर सकते हो. फॉर दैट ऑल्सो यू कैन रजिस्टर ऑन दी मिशन वात्सल्य फॉर फैमिली अडॉप्शन. द प्रोसीजर इज वेरी वेल डिफाइंड. Like sir was asking right now, ki who have to approach? First, you need to approach the district child protection unit of the district, okay, where this child is, because both the parents might be living in different districts. So they have to approach the district of the where the child is living. You have to first approach district child protection unit. You have to register online. The district child protection, there is no adoption agency's role because this is family adoption. The district child protection unit will do all the due diligence, will establish the family tree, will check that if everything is okay. They will send their report to Kara. And if it's inter-country adoption, then Kara also gives you an NOC, so on and so forth. But your specific question was, do you go to the court or you do go to the district magistrate's office? You will have to go to the district magistrate's office via the district child protection unit. You don't need to approach the DM directly. You have to approach the district child protection unit. And whatever I mentioned a little while ago, I mentioned about age, I mentioned about so many other criterias, is not there if you are doing a family-based adoption. In a family-based adoption, the criteria of age and other things are not there. So please, let's not confuse that with it. Family adoptions are treated completely separately, and the DM is competent authority to give you the adoption order.
This is a very frequent question which one comes across. What are the most common mistakes made by prospective adoptive parents during the adoption process?
Oh, most common, I would say, is number one, assessing their own hearts on their preparation of adoption. Okay, may sound very cliche, but that's also true. A lot of times, people go through the entire process, do the documentation, and they realize in 1 or 2 years that is not the agenda. I mean, the agenda was actually to save the marriage, but they thought a child will come and save the marriage. So that doesn't happen. So first, the common mistake which people do is understanding their own preparation on adoption. So that is one thing. Second is they have registered, they have given the documentation, but after a couple of years, because it takes about 3 years, they have to update their home study. They don't get their updated home study done. Okay, so give you an example. I was living in Pune and now I have moved to Bangalore as an example. I never informed anybody. I did not get an updated home study done. I did not inform any person in Bangalore, the adoption agency, so on and so forth. So these are common mistakes. I was working for one company. I have moved to another company. I did not have a biological child, but now I have a biological child and my number of adoption has also come. So basically any change which might have happened during the time you registered till the time you were referred a child, you have to inform. I would say these are the common mistakes which people normally do before the child comes in. After the child comes in, I think the most or the only mistake which I would really like our viewers to avoid is to not deciding to tell the child. Tell the child. Okay, take 2-3 years, but tell the child that these are the most common, I would say, for now.
Next is, can NRIs, OCI holders, and foreign nationals adopt children from India?
Absolutely. I'll just break it a little bit. NRIs, yes. NRIs would mean they are Indian passport holders. Yes, they can adopt. Even OCI people can adopt. And what I wanted to mention was that they, as per the last regulation 22, they are taken on par with Indian nationals. Okay. So, for example, when you register, system also tries to tell ki who has been given priority while giving a child. ओके तो मैंने रजिस्टर किया है लेकिन मुझे प्रायोरिटी मिलेगी क्या? हाँ, अगर आप इंडियन नेशनल हो, अगर आप एनआरआई हो, अगर आप ओसीआई हो, सो यू विल गेट प्रायोरिटी बिफोर एनी फॉरेन नेशनल गेट्स इट. ओके, बिफोर एनी कंप्लीट फॉरेनर गेट्स इट. लेट्स से, but I'm a born Indian, but I have taken foreign citizenship now, but I don't have an OCI. So I'm not talking about for people like me. If I am born or whatever reason I get an OCI card, I will be taken on par as a resident Indian to get a child. But if I'm a complete foreigner, which would mean that I never took OCI, or I'm a complete foreigner who has lived, born for whatever generations outside India, I will not get priority. The first few priorities are only given to Indian residents, NRI, so on and so forth. So yes, you will get priority over there. And of course, the procedure is well laid out for adoption for any of these categories I mentioned.
What if in future, after the adoption, some problems happened and child is abandoned? Are there legal provisions or action which can be taken against the parents?
Unfortunately, there are none. The only thing which is given in the regulation is how the child can come back to the adoption agency. So how the adoption order could be dissolved. There was no provision of dissolution. If again, ma'am would remember, there was never a provision of dissolution in any of the laws that, but now under the JJ Act and under the regulation, the adoption order can be dissolved. There are provisions of that. Unfortunately, I would definitely say that there is no provision for any penalizing or any mandatory some sort of penalty on the people who have taken a child but returned. Only thing is there is like whenever such things happen, I think adoption agencies and SARA, they write to CARA to debar such families so that they don't get another child. But there are no legal penalties or provisions which really protect the child from such situations. Yes. Having said that, if a child has indeed come back to the adoption organization, this child can go back in an adoptive family. And then in my experience across India, such things have unfortunately happened. But at the same time, these kids have found some other wonderful families who take them with full knowledge and information of what must have happened in the first adoption.
There are 3 questions on the chat box. Hopefully, we'll be only taking these 3.
I will take them.
CARA itself is a major obstacle to adoption in India. People are helpless with no resolution of grievance being handled by contractual staff.
Unfortunately, I am the not right spokesperson for CARA. So I would, not like to fully comment on it. But yes, I do understand that it can be very frustrating. I understand what you are saying. It can be very frustrating because, families have to wait, for months and years. And then, it becomes slightly difficult. But having said that, there are different experiences. There are very positive experiences as well, which are there of families with CARA. But yes, I can understand, sir, and sometimes people can find it difficult. But I'm not being CARA spokesperson. I think I will refrain from any comment over there.
Another challenge is that we are also doing one case where we have raid CARA as a party. Here they have seen, despite the fact that there is no Hague Convention with the Australia, but still they are insisting that you should get it done. You should have no objection, etc. And despite the fact that there are judgments that where there is no Hague Convention, you cannot actually put spokes in the wheel.
I think Australia, if I can just make, I don't know if Australia should have a convention because there are children who have previously got adopted in Australia. But anyway, you might be better aware of what is happening in that case than me.
And one is the last. I'm waiting to adopt a girl child from 2021 from Kara, but on the mistake of a Kara portal out of procedure. I've sent 3 reminders representation, but nothing is happening. What should be done? There's a lot of question on chat by Dr. Rupa.
Okay. I'm waiting for adoption from 2, but on the mistake of they have sent 3 reminders. Okay. Unfortunately, I mean, to contact Kara, Kara is the only authority, which can resolve this. Unfortunately, again, I'm not the right person on this, and I don't see why you should be waiting from 2021 for a referral. HAMA, I'll be very frank, I'm not a practicing sort of lawyer. I'm more of a, organizational adoption expert in terms of procedures. But people who are adopting within family, I think guidelines and JJ Act, I mean, not the JJ Act, but the guidelines are pretty clear. And I think recently there was a judgment by the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court also on it, that HAMA is also an act and people can approach under HAMA also for adoption. But if they're adopting any child within the family, I think if the child is from an institution, that is not sort of allowed, but within the family, you can definitely use Kara.
So that's good for the day. And before we part, we will request Justice Roshan Dalvi to share her knowledge. But before that, tomorrow do join us to understand Beyond the Bare Act, how to actually master the BNSS CRPC for litigation and practice. That is by Pavan Rale at 5 p.m. Over to you, Justice Roshan Dalvi.
Ma'am, you're on mute. Ma'am, you're on mute, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Rupa Manglani from Jaipur and मैंने 2021 में कारा में गर्ल चाइल्ड के लिए डाला था, लेकिन 2 रेफरल के बाद ही, एक रेफरल आने के बाद सेकंड रेफरल आया, लेकिन जब तक मैं उसको एक्सेप्ट करने के प्रोसीजर में थे, इतने में उन्होंने थर्ड रेफरल भेज दिया और फिर तीनों रेफरल से मुझे हटा दिया. जब मैंने उनको अप्रोच किया बाय माय 3 रिप्रेजेंटेशन, तो दे हैव एक्सेप्टेड कि यस ये मिस्टेक हुई है, टेक्निकल फॉल्ट हुआ है, और उन्होंने कहा कि वी विल सॉर्ट आउट. लेकिन आज दिन तक सर 6 साल हो गए, लेकिन आज दिन तक कुछ नहीं हुआ. तो मेरा ये सवाल है कि क्या कोई लीगल मुझे राहत मिल सकती है क्या?
You can challenge that in the High Court.
Yes, sir.
May I answer this? Yes. This is a good question by Dr. Rupa because that shows us the ground realities of what happens. Now, CARA is a government agency. It is under a statutory provision. So you can file a writ petition, Dr. Rupa.
Okay,
and you can apply for mandamus that they must show you or refer to you another child.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू सो मच. बिकॉज मैं 2 बार दिल्ली भी आई, वहाँ हमेशा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के बंदे बैठे रहते हैं. दे आर सेइंग कि वो आप जाइए और हम बता देंगे आपको जब कुछ होगा. तो मैं मैम 2 बार जाके भी आई, रिप्रेजेंटेशन दिया पर्सनली, और मैंने गर्ल चाइल्ड मांगी थी झोली फैलाकर, लेकिन आज दिन तक दे कीप मी वेटिंग.
That's what I'm saying.
You can definitely apply for a mandamus.
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सो मच.
Yes.
उसके लिए दिल्ली का ही वकील होना जरूरी है क्या मैम?
नहीं, का भी हो सकता है.
You can file in Jaipur.
का भी हो सकता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू सो मच.
आपको जुरिस्डिक्शन बराबर देखना चाहिए, कहाँ आप है, कहाँ आपने एजेंसी के कौन सी एजेंसी के लिए अप्लाई किया है. और
हाँ, मैंने जयपुर की एजेंसी के लिए ही अप्लाई किया था, लेकिन उन्होंने मुझे हिमाचल की बेटी उन्होंने मुझे भेजी. जब तक मैंने सारा प्रोसीजर फॉलो किया, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा, एजेंसी ने बोला कि अभी 15 दिन की छुट्टी है, उसके बाद आना. जब मैंने वापस अप्लाई किया तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं टाइम लिमिट खत्म हो गया. और जब सारा मैंने एक वैलिड पॉइंट और सब कुछ उनके पास भेजा, तो दे हैव सेंड मी थर्ड चाइल्ड. और थर्ड चाइल्ड के लिए मैंने कहा सेकंड प्रोसेस में है, तो मैं कैसे थर्ड एक्सेप्ट करूं. तो दे आर सेइंग कि नहीं, अब उनका पोर्टल बता रहा है कि यू आर आउट ऑफ रन. उन्होंने मुझे डिबार कर दिया.
You will have to file a petition.
That it can be corrected by the court.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It can be corrected. Yeah.
Thank you.
There could be many such cases actually, and I was thinking that Mr. Sunil Arora has set out the procedure in such detail, and his agency works so well for this as well as other issues. You may find out what all work that he does, but that is not only of adoption, so we will not go into that now. But as we go on, just as in my time, 10 years I have retired, so in my time when I did the adoptions, there were different procedures, different applicabilities. We had said that there should be feedback system and you have to deposit 60,000 rupees. Then I had said that every parent must deposit at least the worth of 2 lakhs for each child. And by various judge-made laws, we had sort of culled out a system. Now the system has changed. But what we have to think of is in future. Now there are so many women who don't want to have a child. There is something called freezing of eggs also. That at present they are career women and they don't want a child, but they can use it later, etc. Then there are the issues of surrogacy. And there are infertility treatments for certain women. So, in many of these different aspects, the law is going to develop differently. And only the future will tell, because that would be by judgment law. Okay. So far, as today is concerned, I think it's a great step that people will understand seeing this video, what they must do, how they must go online on Vatsalya Trust on the website, and what happens. But yes, there would be many issues. Even I have heard of some of them. And I think you can contact Mr. Arora. That would be the best if there is any issue, or tell anyone to do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Because
all the
Kara is
best.
entirely running by the contract person. Nobody is there taking accountability. There
Yes,
are
but
only contract person and all the agency, उनका गलती है, technical fault. They are saying okay, but कोई भी सुनवाई नहीं हो रही. आज 1.5 साल हो गया, मैम.
correct. They may have outsourced the work to a contractual agency, but they are a government agency. They are the central authority. So therefore, a writ petition would be maintainable as I see it.
For that, I have to file the mandamus.
Yes, that is a writ petition. You have to
Yes.
file where you have applied. That
Okay,
will be
ma'am.
the
Thank you.
jurisdiction of that court.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that should be fine because there's nothing more I can say about the procedures.
Yeah.
These are today's procedures.
Thank you, everyone.
Very
Stay
well.
safe, stay blessed.
So detailed
thank
and fine.
you, and
Yes.
Mr. Arora for sharing the insights. So we will meet tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arora.